Cocina de Loisaida. My name is Maria Bido, and today I will be showing you how to make Sancocho, which is a traditional meat stew, as well as fried dumplings, and for dessert we're going to have a delicious flan de queso. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to take the meat, which we've already pre-seasoned, which consists of short beef ribs, small baby ribs, pork ribs, small chunks of ham, chunks of beef stew. We're going to also add pieces of chorizo to this mixture. We're going to take all of these that we've seasoned with adobo and vinegar and place them into the caldero that we've already put some grapeseed oil inside. Once we put the meat inside the caldero, we're going to let all of that meat brown so that it gets nice and crispy, golden on the bottom of the pot. The vegetables that we're using today include yuca, jautía, regular potatoes, sweet potatoes, small baby corn on the cob, and we're also going to add calabaza to this. In today's version of Sancocho, we decided we're going to buy the unripened green guineos, and we're going to peel those and we're going to grate them on the smallest side of the grater so that we can make bolas de guineos for our Sancocho. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to get our flan de queso ready. You need to make the mixture first, and we're going to use 1 bar of cream cheese. Just kind of like scoop it on inside of the blender. All right, and now this recipe calls for, you're not free to go yet. Nope, stay here. 2 eggs. How are you at cracking eggs? Okay, let's go. So you want to crack the 2 eggs and then place it inside of the blender. Excellent, awesome. Thank you. Wonderful, thank you so much. I did forget one ingredient, which is vanilla. It's 1 teaspoon of vanilla. So we're gonna pour 1 teaspoon, and if it's a little bit more, it's okay. You don't have to worry. People are always like, oh my gosh, you pour right over. But I mean, if it's just a little bit more, it's fine. So now we're going to blend that up. And like I said, you put it on a low setting at first because you don't want it to like fly all over the place, you know? So, and now what we're going to do is we are going to add 1 can of condensed milk and 1 can of evaporated milk. Just, yeah, go on, make sure you don't waste anything. We want every last drip of this delicious condensed milk inside here. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna leave the cover off, and I'm going to ask you to be in charge of this. Come. And you kind of just want to keep an eye on it. We want it to, you see this nice color? That's pretty much what we want all around. So you're going to scream at me as soon as it starts to look like that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to pour the pot of hot water inside, okay? So here's another towel. Yeah, I don't know what happened to the other things. Where, you left me, come. I'm sorry, I'm jumping back and forth. Okay, so now blend this baby up. And once it looks like it starts to combine pretty well, then you can raise it a little bit and you can give it a nice, good mix all together, all right? Yep. When you make a flan, there's 2 pans that you need to use. You need to have a baking dish that you fill halfway with water, okay? So it needs to be a small baking dish, and you need to fill it halfway with water so that you can create what is called a baño de Maria. We're going to turn the oven on to preheat at 350, and you want to put this in the oven at the same time because you want that water to be 350 degrees as well when you put your flan inside. You can smell how good it smells already, right? Yes. So just carefully pour this water inside here. Good. Ah, listen to that sizzle. Isn't that awesome? The chorizos that I use, I forgot to tell you this, is very important. They are Palacio chorizos from Spain. And you can see all of the coloring that was already released into the pot, okay? So you don't have to put sazon in here. Now what we want to do is cover this pot and bring this to a boil. Once this starts boiling, then we will add a teaspoon of the adobo to it, and then we'll also add the different vegetables that we've peeled and cut, as well as mini corn on the cobs. We're going back to the flan, and we're now going to make the caramel. So we're going to take 1.5 cups, because I know it sounds like a lot of sugar, but we don't do this every day. So anything in moderation is okay. It starts to turn into like liquid right before your very eyes. And then once you continue to stir it and mix it together, it's gonna look like rock candy. Keep going. And then it's gonna start to turn into a caramel. Now, since it's going to be hot liquid, you want to, like I said, we're going to have to coat the inside of this baking dish. So that's why we put hot water in the baking dish, so that the baking dish is also warm. Because if you put the liquid inside of a cold baking dish, it's immediately going to harden. And you need time to swirl it around and coat all of the sides. So we put the first baking pan in the oven at 350 degrees. We take the other one, we have it soaking with hot water on the counter on the side, and you have a paper towel ready, so that once this starts to appear to almost be ready, dump the water, dry the baking dish, and this is a very quick process. Dump the water for the baking dish, and then dry it with a paper towel at that point, because now it's pretty much ready. The longer you keep it in this hot pan, it continues to cook. So this is why we want to very quickly transfer it. And as you can see, it's like sizzling over, right? And you can see it's still sizzling. I had already had the warm water in here. I dried it with the paper towel. And now, like I said, you very carefully want to go around the dish and coat it. Now, as you can see, the bottom is still, because the pot is hot, yes, right? But we needed it to be hot because we needed to swirl it around. So you're going to let it sit, and it's going to harden. Once it's hard, at that point you take your flan mixture and you place it inside of the pan, the baking dish, and then you stick it in the oven and you put a timer for 1 hour, okay? And just know that your flan is going to be perfect after that 1 hour. And then what we're going to do is we're going to come back over here to the sancocho, because it is nicely bubbling over here. Everybody can come and take a look. And at this point, we want to start to put in our vegetables. Yes, come on. Go ahead, Sammy, put them in. No, just, yes. Grab the vegetables and pour them into the pot. The other thing that we want to add is the baby corns at this point as well. We put them inside here. Now I'm going to add a teaspoon of the adobo in here. And I think I'm going to add a little bit more water, because it looks like we have a lot going on in there. We are also going to season this. not only with adobo, but with our sofrito and our garlic paste. So let's put a heaping cooking spoon of the garlic paste. More garlic, the better. And like I said, because we're adding all of this, it's less of the adobo and less of the salt that goes inside. We're also going to go on ahead and take 1, 2 of the sofrito, and then we're going to mix that up inside here as well. Okay? And the last thing that we're going to add to this pot is a can of tomato sauce. Since we're making a double pot, I'm putting in the double size tomato sauce. If we were making the small pot, we're only going to use the small can. And then we don't waste anything again, so we fill this up with a little bit of water and shake it around so that we can get all of that incorporated in here. All right? Give it another stir, and then we're going to put the cover back on and let this cook. Go on ahead and pour this inside the pot. Pull this out just a little bit, very carefully place it in the center, and then I need somebody with a phone to put a timer for 1 hour. Volunteer. And now we close it and we set it and forget it. And make sure everybody knows not to open this while it's cooking. You want the temperature of the oven to maintain 350 degrees for the entire hour that we're going to be making it. Moving right along, we're going to make the dumplings. We're going to put 4 cups of flour in here. And we're just gonna go on ahead and melt the butter in the microwave. You can melt it on the stove, you can melt it wherever. So we're gonna put 3 tablespoons in here. We wanna put, it's 2 tablespoons baking powder. And the reason that we want to add that is because dumplings tend to be puffy, and the baking powder is going to make that happen. And then we want to put 1 teaspoon of salt. That's a little bit larger than a teaspoon, so that should be enough for what we're making. You put all of your dry ingredients together, that's good, into the bowl, and then you combine them with the spoon that you have right there. This is 1.5 cups of water and the melted butter. And so now we're going to slowly pour this, and then, no spoon, use your hands. And then you gotta get in there. See what you're volunteering for.
Okay,
and then,
slowly.
Yeah, slowly pour it in all around. Yeah, just pour it. Knead that together and combine all of those ingredients, and you're gonna make one nice round ball of that. And then this is the recipe that my grandmother used to make her homemade empanada dough. So once you get this all done, I'll let you go, I'll finish up. We're just going to rip off a small piece, and then what my grandmother used to do is roll them into little balls and then flatten them into like pancakes. Now, I like them as flat as possible because you're going to cook them in hot oil and dough turns to brown very fast, so you want it to cook all the way through. So once you make it the pancake, then take your fingers and just, like press it out a little bit more. So, and then you can put it inside the bowl while we're waiting. We pretty much have all of our dumplings ready. All right, so we're just gonna, get them together, throw them all in one. And now what we wanna do, everybody come, oh my gosh, look at how beautiful this is. Oh my God. So we take a spoon, and then we take the grated guineos, you just drop it right inside, and then they're going to cook Since this is grated, these cook a lot faster than the other vegetables that are in here. So that's why we leave it for last, because they're gonna cook in like 5 minutes. Once your flan is ready, it is not ready. You have a long time to wait to eat that flan. So don't make a flan thinking that you're gonna, as soon as it comes out of the oven, you're gonna eat it. Wrong, no. You have to take it out, you have to let it sit on the counter so that the baking dish cools down to room temperature. Once that's done, then you're going to cover it either with aluminum foil or with the dish cover, like the Corningware cover. And then you're going to put it in the refrigerator so that it solidifies and gets cold. And that, I recommend 8 hours. Some people, again, can't wait and they take it out after 4 hours. The best way to do it is to make it and stick it in the refrigerator and leave it in there overnight. So now you place the pan on top and then feel underneath on both sides to make sure that you've got the dish and the pan. You got the dish and the pan?
I got it, but...
And on the count of 3, very confidently and carefully, you're gonna flip that flan, all right? 1, 2, 3. Whippa! Yay! Okay, now you wait to make sure that it plops, and then carefully take the baking dish, pick it up straight, and you can see all of the caramel start to drop out, and have a spoon ready. Look at that flan! And we don't waste anything. We're scraping all of the extra caramel off and making sure that we get all of that sugar. And that is heaven on earth. And now this is definitely starting to bubble. So you just want to drop them in, and you'll see very quickly, right before your eyes, that they will just start to brown and get golden brown. And you may want to take a spoon and we'll flip them up. I want to thank everybody who attended today's class, and for all of the viewers who watched. We made a delicious sancocho y flan de queso accompanied by some fried golden dumplings. I hope you enjoyed the class. Thank you again.